Well, hey there. Welcome back to Return to Yehovah. I was out enjoying some sunshine and fresh air today and thought I'd make a short video. This morning when I was waking up, I had some thoughts going through my head, and so I jotted them down in a text to a friend of mine, but it was basically concerning where are we in relation to the end times. Now, a lot of people have guesses about that. Everybody's got a theory, I guess, but it began with me thinking about those, or remembering the blood moon tetrad. Do you remember that from 2014, 2015? I don't want to go into a lot of detail, but there was a blood red moon lunar eclipse during the time of the spring feast and the fall feast in 2014, and I forget the exact date, so I don't have them in front of me. I'm outside here, so I don't have it. You can easily look it up, though. And then the next year, 2015, there was also a blood moon eclipse of the moon, lunar eclipse during the spring feast and then the fall feast, according to God's biblical feasts. Not according to the sighted moon or Aviv barley calendar, but according to the one that the Jewish people have been keeping for several centuries. It's the one you can see, printed out and is pre-calculated. So that's where they seem to fall. And then I knew there's some other things. I don't have them all figured out or remembered, but I thought surely there was something in 2016. And hopefully you all were familiar with the Revelation 12 sign in the heavens. Now, that was something where obviously you couldn't just look up and see constellations lined up and planets inside and all that stuff, but people that had astronomy programs and knew how to do that stuff were tracking that and monitoring, and they, you can look those things up. I'm just trying to make some just trying to get us to remember some of these things that have actually taken place recently for us, in the last few years. But anyhow, apparently it was, if I remember right from what I looked up today to verify, it was November 20th of 2016. I'm sucking on a lozenge because my throat gets dry, so excuse me for that. But so November 20, 2016 was when this picture in the heavens with the constellation Virgo and, being pregnant and, blah, 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 and the whole thing, it began the process there. And for 9.5 months until the next year, this sign appeared in the heavens. Now, I know a lot of people thought, oh, it's going to be the rapture when this is over, or this is going to happen, or that's going to happen. And to my knowledge, nobody really can point to any major event, as far as I know, that happened right on that date or right after or anything like that. But, somebody may know something that I'm not aware of. The point is that these things happened. Are they really that meaningless? I mean, 4 blood moons, when that first was discovered and talked about, a lot of people were like, what in the world? I never heard of such a thing. And, apparently it's a little more common than we thought, but not very common. But then this sign in the heavens for the Revelation 12, and read the chapter in the book of Revelation, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It was actually a pretty cool thing, and I remember years ago thinking, when that sign appears again in heaven, because I believe it appeared when Yeshua was born, and that's subject of another book, another discussion or whatever, but I remember, a couple years ago thinking, I want to look to see when that happens again, because something's going to happen around that time, or I figured that would be, a big deal. But anyhow, then it dawned on me, well, wait a minute. Okay, November 2016, what else happened that was kind of a big deal? Remember, there was the election for president in the United States. November 8, 12 days before this sign began, Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton in the presidential election, and it's been you could say almost virtual chaos in America, at least as far as the media and left-wing people or whatever, just their heads exploding because they just can't believe that he beat Hillary and all this stuff. And for whatever reason, I know everybody's got a theory why that happened or how it happened. I'm just talking about things that we have lived through recently, okay? So those two things happened in November 2016. Then the next year in January, I think it's the 20th or 21st of January, Trump was inaugurated. So he's officially president of the United States and began his term or whatever. And then it was August, and I think it was the 21st. Again, we're 2017, the same year. In fact, it might be to the day 7 months after Trump was inaugurated, August 21, we had what some have called the Great American Solar Eclipse. Now, if you remember that, I remember, in fact, I'm over in the field near the bunch of schools near my house, and I remember a group of us got together, and we got our glasses and everything. We were watching that thing, and it was pretty cool. You actually felt the earth get cooler, or the air around you, of course, because it was a August day, and it went from being sunny out and stuff till this eclipse happened, and everybody was like, it's a little bit cooler now. You notice the difference, but it supposedly started like either Alaska or the northwest corner of the United States, and its path went all the way down through the middle of the country down towards Florida, and a lot of people wondered that might be something to watch, or what does that mean? Does it portend something, or who knows? And now here we are a few years later. I'm pretty sure a lot of people have forgotten that, and probably just figured, oh, yeah, it's nothing. I even read some article today where a famous preacher or whatever had said he didn't see any significance to that at all. And this was around the time it was going to happen. And I thought, well, you're kind of jumping the gun there, mister, but anyhow, what can you say? So that happened in August of 2017, and then the Revelation 12 sign that had been technically going through this birthing process, or this woman travailing in birth, and it finally came to a close, or an opening, or whatever you want to call it, on September 23rd of 2017. Now, I know a lot of us were like, expecting something, and to this day, I still don't know if something happened on that date or whatever. Maybe it happened in the spiritual realm or in the heavenlies, and but I'm not sure. But I feel like it's probably, you put all these things together, there's some kind of combination of signs that were given to us to warn us or wake us up or something. And I guess I'm just making this video to kind of remind people, hey, don't forget that stuff. It's easy to just dismiss it because nothing big happened. But, one thing I thought of, after Trump became president, and I don't have the dates of when he started doing things that were a big help to Israel, but like moving the capital of Jerusalem, or approving, what do you call it, recognizing the capital of Israel as Jerusalem, which should have been a no-brainer from the beginning, but it wasn't. I don't know the date that happened, and anybody can look that up, but I thought that was very interesting that here, Trump beats Clinton. Nobody expected it, or a lot of people didn't. Shortly after, all these signs are going on and everything, and then he's blessing Israel, with a couple different things, and his proposal for peace or whatever, I don't remember all the details, but it laid out some other steps that would make things, or make it so that they could eventually, I believe, annex more of Judea and Samaria, which is the biblical heartland of the country there. And So it's very interesting that those things, the signs that we talked about, and that these things were happening, and yet here we are. This is being recorded on March 21 of 2020, and anybody that's awake, for the last couple months knows that there's this COVID-19 or coronavirus or whatever you want to call it. There's this, virus that some say is a bioweapon or whatever, has been spreading across the globe, and a lot of countries are affected pretty badly by it. But you talk about end times, and I can't say that this is the thing in Revelation, chapter such and such and verse such and such. I don't pretend to know. I just I think it's very interesting that these things are going on, all the signs, and now this, because how many countries now are in lockdown or some version of, or military on the streets to keep people in their homes, instead of out there infecting each other or whatever. In a lot of places, hospitals are overwhelmed, and they just can't handle all the sick people or whatever. Now, probably where you are and where a lot of us are in America, we don't see it firsthand how bad it might be. But Italy didn't see it so bad, 3 weeks ago either. And Iran and some of these other countries. So something to think about. But then when I was thinking all these things and wondering, are we getting close to the end or whatever, a huge thing came to my mind that I've talked about a lot on this channel or whatever, is that at this time in human history, whether it was 10, 15, 20 years ago or who knows, God himself decided to start opening the eyes of his people to his Torah, not to make them turn to Judaism and start, getting, converted to that and following the teachings of, the rabbis and sages and all that stuff. But no, he woke them up and gave them a desire to learn the written Torah, none of the oral, the written Torah as it's laid out and as it was, given to Moses. And people all over the world, really. I don't know if every country has got people, but God is waking people up, and why now? But all the more when you think of all these signs and wonders I just mentioned, and there's probably more to come that we don't know about yet. But even with this virus and everything now, does that mean that if you learn the Torah, you won't have to worry about the virus affecting you at all? I can't say that. I mean, a lot of people have health problems or are older or whatever. It's not some, I'm not saying it's some magic formula or anything like that, but I do know keeping God's commandments and keeping his Torah is what he's been telling his people. If you consider yourself one of his people, from the beginning, he's been trying to get his people to just keep his commandments and to learn his statutes and his judgments, and his ways, to learn how he wants us to treat each other and how he would like us to, look toward him and all, He doesn't want us, going after other gods. He doesn't want us worshiping idols. Sure doesn't want us worshiping him the way other pagan cultures worship their gods, He is the mighty God. The rest are fakes and demons disguised as or pretending to be gods. And that's out of the Bible. That's not me just saying my opinion. But anyhow, I just want to say here that think back to some of these things. If I have time, I'll try to put links, that show where these, the different signs or whatever that I mentioned are documented, because it was all over the internet when these things happened. I just thought it would be interesting to think of those things, look at where we are now. Maybe where you sit, it's not too bad right now. But with everything happening and God revealing his commandments and his Torah to this generation, it sure makes you wonder, is he getting ready to do something big? I don't know. And no, I'm not saying the rapture. I just think we need to let God show us what he's going to do, because whenever we think we got him figured out, usually we're wrong. All right, well, I'm going to kill this because it's right over 15 minutes, and I don't know if they'll let me go any longer. Sometimes there's a limit when you record these things. So I'll just say, Yehovah bless you and keep you, and we'll check back another time. All right, shalom.